Okay. Hi.
Good morning. It's Saturday morning.
It is Saturday morning. Oh my God. And it absolutely feels like morning, but
We're recording early because Teresa's got to go out of town for work next week.
yes, I
And
do.
so does Tony.
Yeah, so does Tony. Yeah, both of us. Yeah, I got a little bit of a split personality going on there. So we don't know exactly what's happening. Oh my goodness. So where did we leave off last week? What were we talking about last week?
I think
New
we
York.
covered New York.
We pretty much covered
So
New
I
York.
think
Sorry, folks, there is no actual video from last week. As we've been trying out the different streaming platforms, sadly, we lost our Streamlabs / Melon recordings because I didn't download them soon enough and they just don't stay on the platform as long as the StreamYard ones do. But we will be covering what happened in New York on another day.
today this video will getting from the hotel and all the way to the point in which we get to our rooms. And we'll cover the actual room tours of both of our rooms, which are almost identical, but I'd like to give you the number and the room tours. We'll do that in our next video next week. But this week, we're just going to discuss the boarding process. I'm going to, up front, we did have the key. It was Royal Caribbean, the Anthem of the Seas. We were key members that time. I purchased the key package, and so we'll discuss the differences. And from my experience, having done several of these now, my experience of the actual boarding process in San Francisco. No, sorry. New York.
Yes. She's had 2 cruises this year, just so you know.
Yeah. A lot of tequila last night. So
a lot of tequila last night. Oh.
I don't usually do that. Gotta get from the hotel to the ship.
Well, I think we bragged quite a bit on the hotel last week. Oh my God, just really wonderful. And when we talk about, his name was Jack, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So we got a hold of Jack and on recommendation from the hotel. And he drove us, I believe, I looked at it online, it's like 11 minutes. But as Lola was reminding me, it was about a 40-minute drive for those 11 miles. Well, I don't understand why roads work differently back east than they do out here in Colorado.
Traffic, people.
Traffic, people. Yeah, that could have something to do with it. It was a nice enough drive. It was a good morning drive. Friendly, personable guy. Really like Jack. And absolutely recommend it. And what was the name of his limo service again? Do you recall?
I'll see. You would ask me this week.
Yeah, she'll look that up. So
American Limousine.
American Limousine. Yes.
Never. He's amazing, and he's less expensive than taxi or other car services.
Yes.
He does only pick up in the New Jersey hotels, and Newark Airport.
Right.
Oh.
And if you're staying at the Hyatt, New Jersey, they will actually arrange for him to come pick you up at the airport if you're in the Newark airport and take you to the hotel. But in this case, he took us to the ship in Bayonne, New Jersey, and helped us unload our bags. There were some bag handlers there waiting for us when we got out of there. Want to remind you too, those bag handlers, they're not included in the whole tipping scheme for Royal Caribbean. The gratuities that you pay for on the ship, they're not included in that. And they do such hard work, those god-awful, hours in the morning. So don't forget to tip your bag handler. So it took us a minute to figure even where to enter the terminal. Do you remember that? There were entrances everywhere, not good signage.
It really, as soon as we were able to book, in fact, I remember at one point I was looking several times a day to find so we could get the earliest possible arrival time.
Yes.
Booked into our embarkation day. And so I would check 1 minute, and then about 10 minutes later I went on and it was there. So I immediately booked, even though Tony was traveling with me, I got to book she and I both at the earliest possible time. And I don't remember what time it was. I want to say it was like 11:30 in the morning. That's about right. Anyway, it was the earliest possible time. but like Tony says, it was hard to find. There wasn't like a sign that says enter here, and we kept having to pull our bags around looking for the door. I mean, it's not like it was a big deal, 5 minutes, but it wasn't clearly marked or anything. When we got inside, I was surprised to find, since we had the earliest appointment, we were there 10 minutes early. I did that because I always like to build in a little extra cushion for to find our way or whatever happens.
Planner.
And when we got there, must have been 1,000 people seated in chairs in this room, and when I went to show my things and everything, okay, just take a seat. And I said, well, we are key members. Oh, then you can sit over there. So they didn't even notice that we actually had an upgrade of any kind, and it wasn't acknowledged. Had I not asked, okay, well, we did buy the key, does that mean we get on priority? Because I'm looking around thinking,
there's no sign for key members.
No.
Where
And
you're
so,
supposed
oh,
to
then
sit.
you can go over and sit with the suite members. I thought, okay, well, that's fine. But how would I have known that there was no way to know that had I not been experienced. I'd done the key before, and I had done not without a key before. And I have to tell you, I love the key. Real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Insert here. The key was worth it to me. First of all, it was probably only $30, $40 cheap, more expensive than just buying Wi-Fi. So I bought the Wi-Fi, but it serves you lunch in one of the nicer. It serves you lunch in one of the main dining rooms, but it was from a Chops menu, so it was an upgraded lunch, and that was nice and leisure. And we
You mean our first lunch?
Yeah.
Remember? Oh no, our first lunch was not great.
Well, the very first one. It was the very first one on the day we embarked.
Yeah, I had the fish, that fish that I later on had, because someone recommended it and I wasn't going to get it. I forgot what that fish was called. It was just boiled and lukewarm. But yeah, the lunch on a first day, it was nice to have one, but it was not well prepared, and it wasn't very hot.
I don't remember.
Because you had a different meal.
I thought I really liked it because didn't I order a steak? Okay, now I'm sorry, people. This is what happens when you wait 3 months to
do the videos.
3 months to do the video. Anyway, usually it's a nice lunch because it's from Chops. Although I have to say, Chops was not my favorite restaurant during this cruise. So we'll get to that a little bit more later. But we got to sit down. They did offer to take our bags to our rooms for us. We sat there, but we were kind of wanting to get reservations, trying to get online. And I don't like flying by the seat of my pants. And we're sitting there in the middle of the Via, which is towards the back of the Anthem of the Seas. And when we boarded, they said, go ahead and check with somebody at the Italian restaurant. I'm trying to think of what it's called.
Jamie's.
Oh,
Jamie Oliver's. Jamie's.
Anyway, we went and because we were told make your dinner reservations through one of the onboard restaurants. And when we got there, she said, no, we're starting to, we have other things going on, or I can't remember what was going on. She says, we don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that.
You go talk to the people it's at the wine bar. I can't think what that's called either, but at the wine bar, they will make all your reservations for you. So we went there, but there's a long line of people getting drinks. And so nobody there had time. And in fact, it was hard to get anybody's attention.
There was just a bartender. That's all was there. It was a bartender. There was nobody there to help you set up reservations. And so there was none of that.
I sat down thinking, how hard can it be? I know you're supposed to be able to do this online. So Tony and I sat down right outside the wine bar in a couple chairs. I was trying to get online, could not get online. It would not allow me online. I did not know there was, you have to go to a certain website first, and then you have to go turn your phone from this to that. It was the most confusing process. In past vessels that I have cruised on, there's a very clear-cut paper that you're sent prior to, or online you can read how to get online.
Yeah.
And I follow it, and boom, I'm online as soon as I get on board because I've already done everything. In
Yeah.
this case, Tony couldn't get on, I couldn't get on.
We were in line for our lunch.
Yes.
And so while we were in line for our lunch, there was like a little booth set up there to ask questions and all this kind of stuff there. And they didn't know how to tell us to get online. Are you kidding me? They couldn't tell us how to get online. There was this one young woman. She was amazing. We say this because, she actually was able to help us. She knew. So she gave us the instructions and helped us get online. And then later on, we found her again upstairs outside the wine bar. She came at some point. Eventually she came, set up a booth next to the wine bar, and was able to help with our reservations. And boy, it's a good thing Lori jumped on. It's a good thing Lolo jumped on that, because things were flying.
She walked by, and as soon as we got her attention, a line formed behind us. There was 8 or 10 people at least behind us. And then it was 10 minutes later, they opened how to get on the Wi-Fi booth. So obviously, if they have a specific booth on how to get on, then it's not a quick and easy process. And I did not see where he was telling people how to do it. He was taking their phones and actually doing it.
Yes.
So it's not a quick and easy. Now, all of this being said, the instructions on how to get on board onto the Wi-Fi were in our room late that night when they bring the it was turn down service. I'm not sure they do that anymore, but we were getting turn down service, and that's when we had how to get on the Wi-Fi. Well,
that's
anybody knows anything about cruising, if you don't get your dinner reservations or show reservations upon boarding, you're likely to miss out. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason I was so bothered and a little stressed about it on Embarkation Day was the last Anthem of the Seas cruise that my husband and my son and I took. We decided, okay, everybody's trying to do it. Certainly there'll be some openings. We will just go. We did not get to go to a show. We could not make reservations. I now know that I could have gone and waited in a line, which I don't do lines well. I am a preparer, not a waiter. Waiting is not in my vocabulary. I'd rather plan ahead and maybe even pay more.
Well, especially if you know that you have to have reservations or something like that. I mean, even I plan for that stuff. But I'm far more about, didn't we find eventually that were there any shows there was one show we had to have a reservation for, right?
Yes, but we ended up sitting in the key section a couple of times, because actually the key seats I was really tickled with.
I did.
That was another benefit, having the key membership. And I know there's a lot of vacillating between different groups saying it's worth the money, it's not worth the money. Well, both Tony and I use internet every single day.
Yep.
And so we wanted the good Wi-Fi.
Yep.
And then I missed all the shows because I couldn't make any reservations on the last cruise I was on. And so I insisted on making the reservations where I could. Mm-hmm. And then as far as meals, the last time my husband and son and I only got to eat at 2 different nice restaurants. And I told Tony, we're going to eat at every one of them. So
we did.
And for her birthday, I purchased the meal, what's it called? The upgraded dining package.
Yeah, the dining package, yeah.
Because I wanted to try them all, but I didn't want to waste my money, get on board the ship, have no reservation, and find out I couldn't get on. Well, then again, once we got there, we found out it's not so hard to move around, because they did have openings this time where they didn't when it was my husband.
Well, I bet, I don't know if this is true. So did you have to have reservations? Was that during COVID? Is that why you had to have reservations? No, it wasn't.
The year before COVID.
It was the year before COVID. Okay, well, this time there was only one show that required reservations, and there was plenty of room. But again, they're recovering from COVID. So there did appear to be some short staffing issues, which might have been part of what was going on in the terminal too. They were a bit disorganized. Yeah, it was a very disorganized embarkation process. And this is my first time on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I did enjoy it. And a lot of the reason I enjoyed it is because Lori is absolutely frantic when she first gets on the ship. She cannot relax, cannot relax.
No,
Cannot
what is
take
it
that
I need to do?
deep breath is not going to happen until certain things are taken care of.
I'm not eating until I have Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to my room until my reservations have all been submitted and that any questions have been answered.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that I want to have all the questions, all the concern out of the way in that first hour on board.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to just become Jello. I just want to just kind of, I just want to relax and enjoy the cruise. And for the most part, I did. Once we got everything booked, I was irritated. This is not the Royal Caribbean I've traveled with in the past. And this is my fourth Royal Caribbean cruise. And this was the least organized. However, it is my first Royal Caribbean after COVID. Yes. So I'm hoping that things will get better from here. I'm trying to talk Tony into doing a transcon on the Anthem of the Seas next year.
She's already talked me into that.
My main office is over in London, and I would love to go to Southampton and then just go to work over there for a week and then and then.
Oh yeah. And I haven't been to the UK yet. So what else did we do? The lunch, which I remember not being impressed. And I think is Branzino the fish?
Yes.
Is that the fish? Okay. So the first time I had it at lunch that day, I was like, okay, this is just like boiled fish. It was not great. It was not terrible. It's just something like, well, okay, I'm just not going to order this again.
Right.
Later on during our cruise, I did order it again, and it was absolutely fantastic, just so you know.
See, now I don't remember. I thought, but then again, I've always liked that first day lunch. So I personally am not a buffet person. Not to say I will never go to a ship buffet. In fact, I did 3-4 times on this cruise. But for the most part, I'm always going to try to take advantage of whatever restaurant is open versus buffet. Former restaurant owner here, and buffets are often the food that's left out too long and doesn't stay quite the right, either overcooks or it gets cold, and then you've got how many people dishing up, and that's something that they had changed. I know that during COVID, people were dishing up the foods for you. In this case, it was most of the foods
you were back to where you could do it yourself. Yes. There were some stations where they did it for you, but it was primarily help yourself.
And just a tip for travelers, take your own hand sanitizer. Wash your hands when you go into the restaurants. But after handling all the ladles and before you go to eat, sanitize your hands, because all those ladles have been handled by people who have
been doing this all day. Yeah, I had the cat in my lap.
No. You just, the ladles are probably the only really dirty thing in the entire buffet. The buffet is very clean. The food looked good. It's just not my cup of food.
And I love buffets. I love buffet foods if it's done well. And these were pretty fresh. The first day we did try I don't remember exactly when. Again,
the first day, the second, yeah.
Yeah, the first day the buffet was also underwhelming. I don't know what was going on. There just wasn't a whole lot of selection. There wasn't a whole lot of choice there. Now, we did have the dining package, so we did most of our eating in restaurants and stuff like that. But yeah, but I would go get my breakfast at the buffet, and I'm looking around, and usually I'm getting breakfast while they're setting up lunch.
Noon. And mind you, I eat between 6 and 8 a.m. So I'm waiting for 7 o'clock to hit so that one of the main dining room is open.
Yeah.
And then while I'm looking at lunch, Teresa's looking at
breakfast. That's right. And they did have some really good selections in the buffet, and the food was much better. It just seemed to be much better the second day on. All of everything seemed to be better from the second day on, I must say. Yeah, and I did enjoy the food. One of the things that was really rather disappointing, though, you will hear this again in future videos. I was really looking forward to fruit, fresh fruit. We're going on a cruise down to the Caribbean. Oh my God, the fruit has to be amazing. It has to be
I know.
I bet there's exotic fruits. And it's like we were talking about before the cruise. What are you really looking forward to? Because we love planning so much. Larry says, "What are you really looking forward to?" I'm going fruit. I want the fruit. I'm landlocked. I'm in Colorado. The fruits are not really exotic. You can get them, but it's hard to get a melon that's maybe that was a COVID thing too. I don't know. Getting melons lately has been hard. The melons have all been like cardboard recently. I'm like, I am just going to just go crazy on the fruit on this cruise. And the only fruit that was on the cruise were apples, oranges, grapes,
Which
cantaloupe.
actually is quite common on ships because they all get all of the fruit from where they leave from. So New York City is where they're going to get most of
They
that.
restocked in New
And so
Jersey. What was I
New York
thinking?
is the same thing I'm going to get at home,
Yep.
and not really that different from what you're going to get over in Colorado.
Yeah.
So yeah, my thing though early on in my cruising, it was seafood. I'm on the ocean. Yay. No, same thing applies. Usually the same thing as you're going to get wherever you're coming from. And so they're not going to give you, and in the United States, seafood is quite expensive to order at restaurants. Well, it's the fine dining experiences in the ships as well. You can get it in some of the restaurants, but you're not going to get the, huge cuts of salmon. I mean, it's just, I know it's the expectation of being on something that's luxury or cruising
Yes.
and then, but
And don't get me wrong. I mean, the melons were good and the grapes were good. It was just, man, I wanted to see starfruit and mango and papaya and some fruit I've never even heard of.
we need to do a cruise to Honolulu.
Something. Absolutely. Yeah.
Coconut, fresh coconut.
So that's about it for today, folks. We are going to talk to you more next week about our cabin and our steward, and primarily we're going to focus on the cabins, the rooms themselves. And we had adjoining rooms. Well, no, they weren't adjoining. They were next to one another. We had this single studios, but they were right next to one another, so they were able to join the balcony for us.
They opened up the balcony so we could share one balcony with the 2 rooms.
Which was
and we can discuss more of that next week.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, actually. We've got those videos ready to roll. Just got to.
And we're ready for you to hit subscribe.
Oh, yeah, I always forget that. Yeah, where's the
so that we can get some followers. I'm going for my goal this week, 25.
Yes, and if you are following us already, thank you so freaking much, because we are crazy and we're screwing all this up. We know. So thank you so much for hanging in there. We'll figure this out.
Yeah. If there's specific content you'd like to see, please also note that in the comment section below. We will read it and we will respond.
Yeah, we're doing anything travel. Here's the planner, and I'm the pantser. So we'll see that as we go along. Thanks so much for joining us.
Safe travels.
Safe travels. Bye.
Bye.
This is amazing. My favorites.